Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Oh, like I always say, you know it's bad when even the leftist media is now reporting on it. That's how it works, right? They avoid the topic, they launch all kinds of copium propaganda, hoping they can help the Democrats turn it around in time. But once it appears hopeless, once the endeavor clearly fails, they start actually reporting on the truth. For two reasons. First, they have no option, and secondly, once it gets past the point of no return, once it's so bad that it may cause total party collapse, they have to start highlighting the problem, otherwise the rot will continue to fester, and we saw this during the Biden administration. It was nonstop copium for years until they simply couldn't do it anymore, and then they had to help enable a soft coup against the president. Well, it's happening, folks. The Democrat Party is an absolute freefall, and now even Politico is openly admitting it. Politico just dropped a brutal piece exposing the absolute devastation within the Democrat ranks. And folks, as the trend has been and now continues, it's much worse than we thought. Let me show you guys exactly what's happening. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so like I said, take a look at this headline from Politico. Quote, "We dug into the polls. Democrats in Congress should be very afraid." So basically, here's a synopsis. Chuck Schumer and the entire Democrat leadership are in total panic mode, according to internal reports, as the party's base is not just angry, they're raging. Democrats are now seeing historic levels of dissatisfaction, record low approval ratings, and now even an open rebellion brewing within the party. And the numbers are absolutely devastating. Supposedly, just 40% of Democrat voters approve of how congressional Democrats are handling things. So not only is Democrat approval rating in the dumpster, but it's in the dumpster even among Democrat voters. That's a complete collapse from just a year ago. Only 40% of Democrats approve and 49% disapprove. And just a year ago, congressional Democrats had a 75% approval rating with their base. In other words, the Democrat base now hates them. It's unprecedented. I mean, even after Donald Trump won in 2016, Democrats rallied behind their leadership. Same when Republicans lost in 2020, they didn't turn on each other. But now it seems Democrats are eating their own. They're eating each other alive. And they might be on the verge of a Tea Party-style civil war inside the party. Just like when the GOP establishment got wrecked in 2014, which then led to Donald Trump's win in 2016 and the total restructuring and reforming of the party. That's happened from then to now, with the ousting of all of these legacy-style rhino Republicans. Except there's a problem. Yeah, the Republican Party reformed for the better, getting rid of Traitor Mitch, the Bushes, the Cheneys, little Mitt Romney, the list goes on. The party was reformed to be more representative of the grassroots. But the Democrats right now, they're facing a little bit of a different kind of reform. Not in the image of a popular grassroots movement that's gaining traction in the country, no, in the image of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and that style of democratic socialism. The Democrat Party is cooked, and now the party is being ripped apart from the center as the far left is losing patience, the progressive wing is pushing one way, and the moderates and the corporate Democrats are sick of the insanity and they're trying to push the other way. In other words, this party is tearing itself apart, and it's no surprise, because this is what happens when you have more of a monolithic left-wing political organization. It operates essentially as a coalition, where in the parliamentary system in other countries, you'll see multiple left-wing parties. There'll be the more corporate-style liberals, the more socialist parties, and then the Green parties. They all operate under different banners and then form coalition governments. In this case, you have all those characters all under the Democrat banner, which is supposed to be a unified left-wing party. Well, it doesn't work out so well, and now the dysfunction and the pulling in different directions is starting to peak, and it could spell disaster in the short term, and possibly even in the long term. And speaking of the short-term disaster, well, we've been seeing it. We covered it yesterday. Democrat voter registration is down, and meanwhile, Republicans are gaining. Basically, people are ditching the Democrats and finding refuge with the GOP or declaring themselves independents. More and more people are saying, you know what? This is a clown show. I want nothing to do with it, and so I'm leaving. Donald Trump's approval rating remains at historic highs. RMG Research just released another poll showing him above 50%, at 53% if I'm not mistaken. And what's hilarious is Democrats are still trying to push this con, this scam. They're telling you that Trump is alienating people. He's causing all kinds of damage, all kinds of chaos, and people hate it. Well, I think Democrats ought to have a reality check at this point. The only people that are causing chaos are the Democrats, and the only party in chaos is the Democrat Party. I mean, they're the ones burning frickin' Teslas and committing political violence. They're telling you that Trump is extreme and he's alienating voters. Meanwhile, their base is on a frickin' activist warpath across the country. And clearly, people don't like it. Their own party members don't like it.
Has it crossed the line when people are sort of rooting for the failure of a company?
Well, first, let me say, until yesterday, I think I was one of the only Democratic elected officials to unambiguously condemn the violence and destruction against Tesla. I don't think you have to be tough on crime to do that. As you know, my grandfather is part of Gandhi's Satyagraha movement, independence movement. He said sabotage is a form of violence. I mean, this is not the best form of protest, and it's not the tradition. The second point is, I'm not going to root against Tesla. There are 20,000 people who work in my district who make a living off this. They're building electric vehicles that ultimately are good for the climate. I have huge problems with what Elon Musk is doing. Have the protest and the conversation and criticism of Musk. Don't take it out on a company where you have workers, where you have engineers, where you have scientists, which are creating wealth for the country, which is helping the climate. And I think Democrats have to be able to offer common sense perspectives, focus on what the problem is with Musk. Don't focus on the wealth of a company.
People are noticing. They're paying attention. And that's why Democrat numbers are falling. And everybody seems to understand this except for Democrats. It's honestly kind of stupid. And of course, instead of course correcting, in typical left-wing self-destruction fashion, they're doubling down on the insanity. The people don't want this. They don't want the woke stuff. That was clear in the 2024 election, but where's the party headed? They're trying to oust Schumer and platform Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, in other words, the most radical elements of their party. And it's clearly pushing people away, and it's not pushing conservative people away. They've been gone already. Democrats are pushing away their own. I mean, take a look at what Democrat Dean Phillips just said on the news the other day.
I really don't recognize my party. I don't recognize its principles. I surely don't see any leadership. I don't want to give full credit to President Trump for breaking the Democratic Party, but it surely is in disarray and, most importantly, completely rudderless. And what I saw my governor, Tim Walz, say today was appalling. And I don't want to demean any individual directly, but I'm just shocked that someone who should know better read the room so poorly. What you said about cheering the tanking of Tesla stock, not only does that hurt a lot of Minnesotans who have their money in pension funds, it hurts Tesla employees. This is one of the world's foremost innovative companies based in the United States of America. No elected official should ever demean an American company like that. It's nonsensical. He's built some of the most extraordinary companies in the world. And call him what you will. You can disagree with his initiative, Doja. But my goodness, for my party to be should be condemning it, should not be celebrating it. I'm really appalled right now and shocked.
Quote, I don't even recognize my own party anymore. The Democrat Party has been totally co-opted by the most radical elements of the left-wing side of the aisle. They're completely unhinged, they're out of line, and people are clearly just not following them. It's like a crazy person doing something absolutely insane and trying to bring you along for the crime that they're committing, and you're just like, whoa, wait a second. I'm just gonna stay in the car. How about you go and do that on your own? And then once they get out of the car to go commit the criminal act, they're sneaking out the back passenger door and running 10 blocks away. They don't want to be caught up in this mess. They don't want to be associated because it's simply not meeting the moment. Again, let's clearly put that into perspective. Democrats are burning down Teslas across the country, harassing and accosting people because of the work that's being described here by one of the Doge engineers.
Tell us what brought you here into Washington and what your top priority is.
Yeah, I've been brought in to look at the IRS's modernization program in particular, as well as the operations and maintenance budget. I really care a lot about this country, and this is a huge program that's currently 30 years behind schedule, and it's already $15 billion over budget.
Explain to our viewers what the program is in layman's terms.
The IRS has some pretty legacy infrastructure. It's actually very similar to what banks have been using. It's old mainframes running COBOL and assembly. And the challenge has been, how do we migrate that to a modern system? Virtually every bank has already done this, but we're still using a lot of those same systems. And typically in industry, this takes a few years, maybe a few $100 million, and we're now 35 years into this program. If you ask them now, it's 5 years away, and it's been 5 years away since 1990. It's supposed to be delivered in 1996, and it's still 5 years away.
In your area of expertise that informs your ability to do this review is what?
I'm a software developer by background, and I'm a CEO of a software technology company.
So when you came into the department, the first thing you do is just get into the guts of the system and see how it operates?
Yeah, really talk to the software developers, talk to the people on the ground and what they're seeing. I think one encouraging thing is we actually have quite a lot of software talent on the ground, the people writing code. We actually have quite a lot of good people. It is almost always the case that when I ask them what the correct answer is, how do we solve these problems, they're almost always right, which is good. They just haven't been in a position to be empowered to make those decisions. So I'm actually pretty optimistic that we can solve this.
I mean, what is extreme about that? The answer is nothing. It's needed, important work. But these extreme Democrats feel justified to ransack the nation, to dox these engineers, to hit them with death threats over the supposedly unacceptable work that they're doing. It's completely absurd. It doesn't meet the moment. It's an absolute exaggeration, and it's causing people to revolt. It's causing Democrats to revolt. And again, it's a two-headed dragon here, because you got people on the left who are revolting because of the craziness, and then you've got the psychos on the far left who are revolting because the Chuck Schumers of the world and the corporate-style Democrats don't want to go down this insane path with them. In other words, like I said earlier, the party is pulling itself apart, and that's now what the data is confirming. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.